You sit down with the best intentions to read, learn German, focus on something important, but before you know it, you are on your phone again. What if I told you there is a biological mechanism inside you that can get you addicted to hard things the same way you got addicted to scrolling? It's one of the reasons athletes train through pain, polyglots master multiple languages, and high achievers enjoy doing difficult things that once felt impossible. When you understand how it works, you can start using it to your absolute advantage, not through a forced willpower way, but through changing how your brain handles discomfort. I actually learned this lesson the hard way myself when I moved to Germany several years ago. To deal with the adaptation, the loneliness, the anxiety, I started to spend a lot of time glued to my phone. Waiting for a bus, phone. Feeling bored, phone. And the consequences of this were terrifying to me. Learning German became harder, my ability to focus declined, even my relationships suffered because my phone became my digital pacifier. By the way, let me know in the comments below if you notice anything similar happening to you. And now let's look into why this is happening. Our brains are constantly changing and becoming better at whatever we repeatedly do. So if reaching out for your phone 78 times a day feels as natural as reaching for the towel after washing your hands, your brain probably rewired itself to crave the dopamine that your phone can provide. This is neuroplasticity. Your brain is constantly adapting. The question is only adapting to what? And learning a language like German can be especially irritating to a modern distracted brain. Imagine hearing a sentence like Gestern Abend habe ich nach dem Gespräch mit meiner Freundin meine Social Media. Now you need to wait. Was it abgedatet, geshared, gelöscht? You need to wait till the very end of the sentence to find out, and that already feels uncomfortable. We instantly want to reach for some cheap dopamine relief before the sentence is even finished. But there is a mechanism in you that is much stronger than your dopamine craving. Because think about it for a second. If our brains are hardwired to only avoid pain and seek comfort, why are there so many people who learn to enjoy doing difficult things while others constantly avoid them? Why would athletes train through pain, scientists spend years working on a problem they might never solve? Why would people wake up at 5 a.m., run marathons, climb mountains, or torture themselves with a language like German?
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
The secret lies in your brain and specifically how it interprets friction, so any discomfort. Most people experience friction and think, this feels bad, maybe it's not for me, I should quit. High achievers have trained their brain consciously or unconsciously to get their dopamine from the friction itself. Instead of seeing discomfort as a reason to escape into cheap dopamine activities, they see it as an evidence that the progress is happening. So when you try to say that sentence in German and cringe because you realize you made 5 mistakes in it, this is the best thing that could happen to you, honestly. Because your cringe is gold. The moment that you feel this discomfort is exactly when your brain is restructuring itself and building new pathways to grow that skill. If you stay with that discomfort of your choice for a while, the biochemistry of your brain starts to change. And this is how it works. The book Dopamine Nation describes it as an imaginary scale of pain and pleasure in your brain that strives for balance. When you chase fast dopamine like scrolling social media, your brain violently tips towards pleasure, and you get to enjoy it for a second. But to compensate, it then pulls the scale down into pain, creating the hangover effect of low motivation and craving for more fast dopamine. When you voluntarily lean into effort first, you endure the friction. Your brain releases a slow, steady, and resilient wave of dopamine to bring you back to balance. This is why, over time, your friction of choice becomes enjoyable. Your body rewards you in a more stable way when you voluntarily lean into effort. And with time, the effort itself becomes the reward. So how do people become the type of person who actually enjoys doing difficult things? For me, it comes down to 3 steps. First of all, stop chasing results. We live in a society that is obsessed with the results. We want to have the stuff already, to be fluent in German, to have 6-packs, to be the master of the universe. But every person who becomes exceptionally good at something has shifted their focus from the results to the journey itself, because the journey is what your life actually consists of. When you are obsessed with becoming fluent in German, every mistake feels frustrating. But when your goal is to simply show up, the result is inevitable. Step number 2, learn to consciously recognize friction and appreciate it. We need to realize deeply that the friction, the cringe, and the awkwardness that we feel when we are doing something hard or learning something new is an essential condition to grow. This is something that I experience a lot with belly dancing now myself as I started to learn it. And one of the most difficult things for me right now is improvising live with the drummer, because I never know what he is going to play. Very often I freeze, start panicking, and feel awkward because I don't know what to do. But this is when I remind myself that my brain is learning now, so that cringe is a positive thing. Step number 3, intentionally sit with the friction without distraction. We need to intentionally create space for our discomfort and remove any sources of cheap dopamine from that time box. If you feel resistance to start with just 10 minutes of the focused work. Because very often, once you get through the initial friction, something interesting happens. You stop fighting the activity, you start getting immersed in it, and you end up focusing for much longer. If it happens, great. If not, you still made a step forward. But it is important to get yourself over the threshold of starting. Every time you do it, you are teaching your brain a new lesson. Effort is not something to escape from. It is something to grow through. If you are currently trying to survive the friction of learning German, check out this video here where I share my tips to do that.